Championship could be expanding again, looking to go to 16 teams. Fair enough. Right. Don't want to go to 16 teams. What does that mean for League One? Are they just going to burn League One off, or are we going to get more teams coming in at the bottom of League One? I'm reading this article in the paper. Matt Shaw and Aaron Bauer have written this one regarding the Championship taking control of its own future, which I get the reason behind that, and I think they need to do that. But they're saying if funding comes from Sky or whoever it may be, we've got to go out and get extra funding. Yeah, we all agree with that. We're happy for games to go on the Our League app. Is one of the quotes in here. The games on the Our League app will not get... the game on Sunday, for instance, was Lee against Bradford. Great game. Right, but how many games were on at the same time? So you're automatically lowering your own odds. They're on about getting a TV deal, right, and going on, 80,000 people watch it. What they fail to realise, right, let me just advise it, is people have Sky, right, you either have it because you like football or you might have it because you like rugby. So if there's rugby on and you've paid money to watch it, you'll watch whatever's on. You'll watch the game Toronto against who is it if there's no else on. You'll watch if it's Widnes against Batley or whatever if there's nothing else on, because that's why you've bought the service. If you weren't a rugby fan, I don't think many people watch the rugby on, not lower league rugby. Right. I think we're kidding ourselves if we think they are. And I think we've got to be careful. They're thinking, we've got this audience that watch it. You've got an audience because the people are able to watch Super League. If then you're going somewhere else, how do you know that audience is going to follow you?
My worry about mentioning the Our League app is that clearly the plan is to charge for it.
Yeah.
Now, the only people who are going to buy that are Rugby League fans.
Yeah.
And I don't know how many Championship fans are out there if the Our League app was exclusively showing.
Well, we understand that they've got 100,000 members, right?
Yeah,
now,
most
straight
of those
away,
are Super League fans.
there are 3 people at my house who've got an Our League membership, and that's because one of the signings we had didn't work, so we registered another person in the family to get one. And then they forgot the password and they've got another one. So they've got 3. So straight away, 2 of them, and they're not going to buy it.
But
if
a
it
lot of
becomes
people got it because England will be insured.
Yeah. So if you say, right, 100,000 people, it's 10 quid a season. That'd raise you £1 million. How many of them 100,000 people are going to buy it?
They're not. Well,
they're not going to buy it.
The other thing as well is that if you're going to charge for something, you have to show the best that's available. You have to give people what's known in the trade as value for money.
Yeah.
And you're not going to do that with to everybody with a lower standard of rugby.
And also...
Which is not to say it isn't worth watching, but it is clearly a lower standard.
And also, if you say, and Derek Bowman, I think, said, we're happy to have our games on. So if you say, right, well, what we need, Derek, is at 6, all these games are at 3 o'clock. You're going to have to play at 6 o'clock on Sunday night.
Well...
Which then knocks him 1,000 off his crowd and costs him 20 grand over the gate, and he's going, whoa, I'm not doing that. So I think it's very, I think there's a lot of short-sightedness here. People aren't going to pay.
Driven by the amount of money that the Championship and League One clubs think they're going to get in 2021, which is virtually nothing.
Yeah.
They can't guarantee a single
penny.
So
we can't knock them for trying to come up with something
and
else.
they may get money in, and it might be through the filtering down of a Sky deal, which could be better than everybody expects, or it could be that they will go out and find some finance, part of it through maybe a share of the Our League if they change it to a subscription service. But the other side of any coin of trying to balance a budget is cutting cost. So I think what they're looking at is, let's take the heart out of League One. So you would look, if it was today, at least one Cumbrian team. Newcastle maybe, because they've got an owner who's clearly trying to get out of that division as quickly as he can with the signings that he's making, and had a magnificent result this week. Possibly one of the results of the weekend that went under the radar, beating Whitehaven. They probably would want to take maybe a London Scholars if they were part of something bigger. Maybe Toronto actually did ever pay to have them as part. They possibly might want to take a Hunslet or an Oldham who are traditional. So you can see why they would want to take the best of League One and bin the rest of it, because the rest of it gets paid a grant of £75,000 a year.
So hold on. There were absolute uproar when Super League wanted to withdraw funding from the lower league clubs.
That's what they're going to do.
But now they're in the same boat. They're going, well, what we need to do, lads, is we'll steal off the poor and look after us.
And the clubs that don't make it will become effectively community clubs.
Yeah.
The top end of the national conference.
But what have we said about that? Why do they not make it a pyramid where if you're in the NCL and you win it, you go to League One?
And what they're planning on doing in the Championship has to link in with what the plan is for Super League as well. You can't do it on its own.
But what do we make of Steve Mascord then? He's been asking the question, why should Toronto want to get promoted? If they win the league, why would they want to go into Super League? You know, about this fantastic competition below it. We all know the merits of the Championship. We're not criticising the Championship per se. It's a good competition. But as you said, it's not elite level sport. And people will not pay not to watch elite level sport.
You commentated on a game this weekend between a team that was full-time and elite and a team that was part-time and for whatever reason, some of which can't be helped, couldn't get its first team to play that fixture.
Yeah.
And the scoreline ended up 70 points to 8. That goes against everything we've said that is good in Super League this week. And again, new Forty20 is out now, Brian Noble's column. He is saying the playing staff, the coaching staff, the administration of Toronto have set their sights on playing at the highest level that they can, and that is Super League.
But why? And again, it'll come back, and there's been questions about Toronto. We've got to be honest about that. There's a lot of questions out in the ether at the minute that need resolving. But it raises a question: who at the RFL thought it was a good idea to put them in the bottom division?
What was the? And if they did put them in the bottom division, why didn't they do the diligence 2 or 3 years in advance of what it would mean if they were in the top division? Because they were never coming in to be in the bottom division. No. So if you make a moral case, which you can't anyway because you didn't put Bradford in the bottom division when. But let's say any new club that comes in, they have to start at the bottom and work their way up, and you're going to adhere to that. I get that, but then you don't think about, well, what are the ramifications of that when they're going to hit the top division, when they're about to hit the top division. You put that whatever restrictions in or covenants in at the minute you admit them. And that's what we clearly didn't do. But again, it all boils down to the fact that will Toronto play in a better quality of team if they were in Super League, be able to get the kind of broadcasting deal to supplement what is currently going on that the sport desperately needs.
We've got no idea, do we? Because we don't know how North America will react to a completely alien sport.
I think we do.
Keep saying. I think we do. I'm sure we do. But we don't because we're dreamers.
I think the other thing is that happened in Toronto this week, which should be a lesson to Rugby League, is that the basketball team in the city won their first ever championship and don't have a single Canadian player. And apparently today the streets of Toronto were full of people celebrating that victory.
It's an irrelevance. It's an irrelevance. There were a lot of people at the weekend. They're all having a good drink. They were all enjoying it. They made plenty of noise.
And the weather was crap as well. But
it wasn't great. It was a bit like today, a bit blustery, a bit.
Didn't stop them turning out.
They were there.
6,500.
You know, and I was a bit because you see the ground. They thought there's not many here. I'm still piling in after 20 minutes. All coming in with the beers and everything. And O'Brien kicks one from the sideline. They're all yee-hawing and whatever else. You know, they take part in the day.
I enjoy it.
But the question is, again, once they go out of the championship, but what's this grand idea that they've got this competition that everyone wants to play?
And their attendance against the team that they knew they were going to beat was higher than 2 Super League attendances, not far off a third.
Here's some realism or negativity depending on where you come from. Hector McNeil, the owner of London Scholars, in Steve Mascord's column talking about BT. BT Sport is there to sell broadband packages. That's the raison d'etre. That's why it's there. That's why they've got the Champions League and they've got the Premier League, because they are 2 products people will buy. And guess what? People watch them. So Rugby League is not that. I know they have the Premiership Rugby Union and they have a programme called The Rugby Show. Magazine programmes do not do great viewing figures. You can go and look. I'm not just banging this drum and making things up. Quote from Derek Beaumont's. If we can get clubs getting their games on, we can go forward. Whether it's Ralph, Mark Foster or whoever at the RFL, they can go to Facebook, Amazon or whoever and say 80,000 people tuned in live to watch that game. What a load of old crap that is. Because they're not, are they? 80,000 people watched Liam Widnes at the Summer Bash on Sky Sports. It was on all day. Last week, Championship Rugby League, 6 o'clock, Sky Sports Arena, live from wherever Swinton Lions play. Swinton Lions versus Toronto Wolfpack. With all the build-up there was actually something interesting went on before that game. 29,300, outdrawn by the women's cricket, England versus West Indies at 1:30 on a Thursday afternoon, outdrawn by wrestling at 1 a.m. on a Tuesday and a Wednesday morning, outdrawn by Super League. 80,000 people watched one game. Yes, what was that? We got the press release at the start of the season, didn't we, about the R-League app and how 90,000 people watched however many games, but when you actually...
It works out as an average of 3,000 a game.
Which is about watch.
Yeah.
Amazon aren't coming to us to buy this programme, and Amazon aren't going to buy the Championship Rugby League because they've got the rights to top-level men's tennis, so that's all the best tennis players in the world. They've got the rights to top-level women's tennis, so that's all the best tennis players in the world, and they've got some Premier League football, which, as we're told, is the best.
Yeah.
It's a dreadful fixture card, but it's the best league in the world. They're not interested in buying second-tier minority sport.
Yeah, but hold on, Amazon, why don't they buy us? We're the best four pundits in we're the best four pundits in Rugby League, so why don't they buy us?
We've got to
I think
stop
we just
this.
answered that question. They're still looking for the best football.
We've got to stop these people.
We are the best four.
Selling. It's like politics at the moment. We've got all these people coming on TV who want to be Prime Minister, selling us these dreams of things they're going to do with the magic money tree that doesn't exist, because we're giving it all to the DUP. They're doing the same here again in Rugby League. These club owners need to be smarter about what they're selling. They're selling a dream to people that does not exist.
Well,
Amazon,
I think
Facebook are not buying content. Twitter are not buying content from second-tier sporting rights.
And I think Mark's right as well in the fact that if the Championship ends up with the league positions that we've got at the moment, and Toronto do get promoted, one of the major USPs of the Championship to a potential broadcaster disappears. Because that element of exoticism has got, and 9,000-10,000 people at a game, and a good atmosphere and a good story, because it's a sport that you've spoken to national radio broadcasters who are captivated by this idea that Toronto could be in Super League. If they're not in the Championship, what are the Championships selling?
Well, let's pretend Toronto don't exist for a moment and say Robert Elson says to Derek Beaumont and Andrew Chalmers, right lads, you're in. They don't give 2 pennies about the Championship and a TV deal with Amazon.
Now, in fairness to Beaumont in his piece, he said, look, it's not just about where Lee are. And we can't criticise them for trying to
if you take
expand their product, but I think there's got to be realistic about what, and
Amazon
there's going to be a
moment
when they come out of a meeting and they go, no, we don't want it.
And the trouble is
they're going to be knackered.
they won't be signing the kind of players that Lee are signing at the moment if they haven't got a guarantee.
Unless Derek wants to put more of his own money in.
And
we know Bradford are losing loads of money already, so who's going to keep putting the money in there? There's got to be a realism about it. It's a good competition, but the elite level's struggling to get the deal it wants for its revenue. How's the lower league one going to get one?
And I go back to this, people saying it's a good competition. It's a good 2 competitions.
Yeah.
The top half of it and the bottom half of it do not mix.
If we want to expose people to our products.
And yes, Swinton with
Derek Beaumont.
The other great result this weekend was Swinton winning at Toulouse.
Yeah.
If we want to expose...
But for every Swinton winning at Toulouse, there's a Dewsbury going to Toronto.
If we want to expose people to the products, and again we keep saying this because it's the right thing to do. You go on the BBC website on the weekend, they show any old crap they can get their hands on. There was archery on there yesterday, had korfball the other week. We're hiding stuff again. We had the Origin games over the weekend, the Academy and the Women's Origin games.
Which were fantastic.
I watched the women's one I had the women's one on because I was working, and I had Twitch on so I could see the numbers because you see how many people watching. It was about 1,300, which to say no one knows this is going on, I'd say that's
in an empty ground.
And again, why did they do that? Especially when they're using the same company to broadcast the Lee Bradford game, play it before Lee Bradford. I despair sometimes. We've got these products and we're pie in the sky, let's say it to Amazon, when the BBC will show content on their website and we just hide it away when we can actually get an audience. We don't put it on YouTube, we don't put it on Facebook. We're gonna chase Amazon to send.
Telstra have just renegotiated their deal with the NRL, so it includes women's rugby league.
No disrespect to korfball or archery, by the way. If they're showing that, they show us.
Is this not the Speedway?
Have they advertised the figure? Have they given the figure out how much they've spent? Telstra?
No,
Because over here we don't know how much.
but they're
money
showing
it
the
costs,
women's
is it?
state of origin on Friday. We can watch that here on Sky.
Yeah, but normally the Aussies say, well, it's about 4 billion.
I think
or
they've just
whatever
upped whatever the big huge deal was. They just put a bit more.
Right.
Go on, what's happening on social media?
Arson Richard, he says, it's telling that Scully is quiet at the minute. This is a pointless conversation. No one outside of the Championship and Rugby League in general are interested in the game outside Super League. The problem is, Richard, they're not interested in the game in Super League either. And it doesn't matter if we say that on this programme, because we're only talking to Rugby League people. When we're wearing different hats in different places, where we sell the game, don't we? That's what we're there to do. When we're on this programme, we can say whatever we want. We just need to be more realistic. We can't set people up to sell dreams that aren't there.
Yeah.
Because eventually they'll just all be disappointed.
I just think for clever business people, they are not looking at the real picture, and I think there's going to be if Super League don't get the money that they want, and it is still an if they got the Sky got someone, right, here you go lads, yeah, we've sorted it out, there's your money, everything's carry on as it is or whatever, or they get a reduced level, but if they get no money, that championship is not going to be a competition worth watching, because either the players are all going to have to take massive pay cuts, or they're going to go do something else in their life.
Or be picked up by some Super League teams.
Yeah,
Here's the point,
so
mate.
there needs to be we keep using that word reality.
This is where John completely misses the point. You lot wouldn't sell it the way you're talking about it. Talk about the weekend games and how good they were. Yeah, there were some good games this week. I mean, if you look at the Championship, there were loads of blowouts as well, which don't get picked up by people with agendas, do they?
Yeah.
But there are some good games there. It doesn't matter what we say on this programme. Non-Rugby League people are not watching this programme. We need to say to non-Rugby League people, by how Phil said earlier, get the likes of Adrian Durham and whoever we can find out there who will tweet videos that might get a following because they've got loads of followers. Us doing it ourselves doesn't mean jack, because we're irrelevant.
Yeah.
It's people outside of our bubble we need to convince. It doesn't matter, oh look great, let's get Robbie Hunter-Paul tweeting a video of Old Challenge Cup finals. That's great for us, we can watch some Old Challenge Cup finals. No one out there cares.
Yeah, and what it is worth bearing in mind before you criticise it on here, like Rich said, we're broadcasting to an audience here that know they love the game. When we're on other programmes, you would not hear us say a bad word about the game, because we're talking to people that don't know about the game and want it to sound bigger and better than maybe it is, and we will always do our best to promote it. So I think that's a pretty harsh criticism, and it is all right saying, yeah, good games in the championship. We watch the championship. We're happy with the championship as it is, but it is as it is, propped up by money going into Super League. And if that's not the case, you're not going to have the same competition.
One of the best
and
games.
You've got to get, the reality is you've got to get that. And there are teams in there that if you said tomorrow there's no funding, I would say 70% of those teams would go out of business.
But the other thing as well is, look, generally, depending on who is at home, at the crowds in the championship,
Yeah.
we're only reflecting
The fans won't
the
pay to
people
watch it.
themselves
Who else is
that
gonna
are
pay?
turning up to watch
Yeah.
the teams that
And
they're
if you
passionate
think that people are going to pay money to broadcast that, they're not, without a way of
That's what I'm
recouping it.
And
And
one of
that's the problem.
One of the best games this weekend must have been Hunslet Doncaster on Friday night. And why Hunslet play on Friday when Leeds do, I don't know. 664 people to see Doncaster sneak past by 2 points.
Yeah.
There are good games in every competition. There are bad games in every competition. You watch the NRL. It's not the great. Yes, it's of course the biggest league in the world. It's got all the best players.
Not
but
every
not
game
game's
every
great,
week
is it?
is
No.
fantastic.
There are some stinkers, but it doesn't matter. Yeah,
Anyway, move on.
Although Ryan Hall played very well this week for them.
That's right. You won and
Did he?
everything. They won and everything, didn't they?
Good stuff. Good stuff. Right, we'll do our predictions now. I feel a bit deflated by that conversation, but it needs saying. And if they're
It's
not
real,
saying
isn't
this to each other, then they're.
But also,
Then they are
and again,
silly.
the only thing that I would say about, and I'm sure that there is absolute truth in this story that the Championship are looking to expand, is the bit that's missing from the story is what happens to those that aren't
Yeah,
included.
exactly. They're just doing to them what
Yes.
Super League have done at the Championship.
And if I had a criticism of the way they've gone about their business, it's the fact that there isn't anybody looking after the game as a whole.
Yeah.
And there were one or two people who were vilified for saying we all need to stick together. And actually, this is a classic example of everybody looking after their own interests and
Yeah.
not the
RFL
best interest of the game.
Just to round it up, right, do you think there's any prospect that for the good of the game that Robert Elston can come together with the Rugby League, or is that just
I
gone
think the
now?
closer we get to this television negotiation, that may have to happen.
And
It'll be forced by an external factor. It won't. That I think they're too far entrenched within the organisations to hold out an olive branch to each other. But I think if somebody like Sky were to say, look, we want to deal with the game as a whole,
Yeah.
that would force their hand. But it's we've said it before. It's happened in the past. The history says that Super League broke away around about the turn of the 21st century, and within 2 years realised that all they were doing was duplicating resource that they didn't really have, and they came back together. And if we're a sport that's going to be scrabbling around for whatever money we can get, you can't have two lots of people doing the same job.
Oh, I beat
Interesting.
Stamp again.
Very interesting.